we've all had moments where we've needed to reach out for help. And Janet, actually, had my breakfast this morning reading your article in the newspaper about, you know, how the past, well, your hip replacement has really made you reflect. And
yeah, you know, I think the hip replacement came at a time when I was refusing to be logical, refusing to accept help. And I'd had a knee replacement about 6 or 7 years ago. And even getting the knee replacement, you know, I took a lot of persuading and I was in terrible pain. But with the hip replacement, I was so reluctant, and it got to the point where I could hardly walk. I'd come in here and be a complete misery. I was not sleeping. My sleep was down to 2 or 3 hours a night because I've suffered from arthritis for years. But obviously that was a result of over-exercise and, you know, I did so much activity. Somehow having a knee replacement is more acceptable than a hip replacement, in my head, anyway.
No, I know what you mean.
So here, you think, oh, have a hip replacement, I've joined the oldies. That's it. You know, I'm in the last tiny bit of my life, which is ridiculous, really, because now over 99,000 people a year in England and Wales are having hip replacements. But even though I was told to have it back in March, I carried on, and the pain was excruciating. And, of course, when you go to the doctor, they just give you pills, painkillers, and I was taking extremely strong painkillers, tramadol, which I'd even written about as a journalist, saying, don't take tramadol, it's highly addictive. And there was I, taking it 2 or 3 times a week in the hope of getting more than 2 hours sleep.
Why do you think you found it so difficult to ask for help?
I'm very, very proud and I'm very secretive. Although you might think I'm a big blabbermouth on Loose Women, I'm a bit like an iceberg. You're seeing a pointy bit at the top and there's 2/3 below ground. Wow. And that's the best way of describing what I truly, truly feel. And I was absolutely at rock bottom. I think in the Mail article I say it was my year of horror, like the Queen called it, the annus horribilis, that it was 2024 has been that year for me. Unable to walk. I stopped myself going out. I would turn down going to the theatre or the movies because I couldn't sit all the way through it. I'd be fidgeting around, annoying people.
You feel like you was losing your independence?
I felt like I was self-isolating, which is ridiculous because COVID was over and there's no need for that. And so I would stay at home and it was absolutely chronic. And by the time I had the operation, I was in a bad way, and then I've recovered well. But it's not over. I mean, I've got to work at it. I've got to work at getting 100% fit again, and of course, down the line, I'll have to have another knee replacement.
Well, listen, we've got bags of time. We've got 25 hours, so we can get into some of this a bit more. I mean, I have never been to a counsellor, and think in this instance was a mistake. I'd only been to a counsellor when my marriage for relationship counselling, and that was always pretty combative. Well, that's a completely different kettle of fish. Now I needed to talk to someone who was neutral. And there was, you know, it's my... I didn't bother, and that was a mistake. Okay.